So this here is my good buddy. There you can have it. I raised this calf since she was a baby, and she has the longest tongue I have ever seen, even for a cow. That's my hand. You can't eat that. Okay, you can eat that. Ouch! Ouch! No, penguin. No, stop. Stop. No. You're just a big spoiled brat. No more treats. Okay, maybe one more treat, but that's it. Oh, she left here. I guess you get it. All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. And today we're taking a look at the Camillus Bushcrafter folding knife. So, a little bit of an interesting story here. I have had this knife for a long time. I bought this, geez, like, I was going to say 2 years ago, but maybe it was about 3. Anyways, I bought this knife a long time ago, and I always had the intention to review it when I started the channel, but I just never did. I actually carried and used this knife a lot when I first had it. But then I decided that I was going to review it for Cheap Knife Week Volume 2, because when I bought this knife, it was $30 exactly. Well, it has gone up significantly in price, which disqualified it from Cheap Knife Week. So Cheap Knife Week's already been out. Cheap Knife Week Volume 2 has already been out by the time you're seeing this video. And so you guys already know this. But I still really want to review this knife because I think it's really, really cool. And so here we are today doing exactly that. And where did I put my ruler so we can take a blade length measurement? There it is. Alrighty, so blade length on the Camillus Bushcrafter. Coming in here just a hair over 3.5 inches. Just a tiny hair over 3.5 inches. So yeah, it's a pretty sizable knife. It is not small by any definition of the word. Let's go ahead and bring out our size comparisons. As always, we're going to start off with our rats. Ta-da! And ta-da! So yeah, in terms of length, very similar to the Rat 1, but the Bushcrafter is a bit chunkier. I actually bought these two knives from the same sporting goods store. Not at the same time, but same store. Alrighty, let's bring out our Civivis, the Praxis, the Elementum. Yeah, comparable to the Praxis in terms of dimensions. This knife is quite a bit, well, I was going to say it's quite a bit heavier. It might actually not be that much heavier than the Praxis. Let's bring out our what's the word I'm looking for? Flagship comparisons. That's the word I use. There we go. Okay, and I'm not going to bring out anything else. There's what you need to know. So what are we looking at in terms of materials? The blade is Sandvik 12C27. That's pretty cool, right? The handles are micarta. It is a backlock steel pocket clip, and yeah. So there she is. Let's go to the cutting footage that I recorded many, many months ago in the woods. Enjoy. You guys probably can't see this, but there's a rainbow going over the hill there. Looks pretty. Alright, we're not here to talk about rainbows, we're here to talk about knives, and today we have the Camillus Bushcrafter. This is a really cool knife. I've had it for a long time, and I just never reviewed it. So one thing I want to do with it real quick is actually do some wood cutting, just because it's called the Bushcrafter, right? Got some old dry cottonwood here. No gloves, because we're baller. Whoa.
Not the best chopper, but that's okay. It's a pocket knife. It did better than that K-Bar Mule. Not sure if the review of that has come out yet. Go ahead and get some of these off. There, it's a little more manageable. Let's do some cuts. Okay, there's some serious hot spots on there. This is hard wood. I'll put on a glove and see how that does, because I think the blade's doing good. It did okay. Still solid. Good. All right, so 12C27 blade steel, micarta handles. Let's cut some stuff. I have to use some of this old cardboard because I used the last of our thick wall cardboard on the CJRB Hyperlight just a couple minutes ago. Ew, mold. Wait, why are we cutting it? I haven't talked about anything. How are the ergos? They're pretty good. It's a big knife. The ergos feel pretty well, pretty good. When I was bearing down on that rope, did feel some hot spots. Had to switch over to gloves. How's the action? It's a tail lock. You can flick it out, but to close it, I would just do it two-handed. And it seems the safest way. Centering is good. How does it carry? It's a little bit of a chunky boy, pretty heavy. It does have a reversible deep carry clip, which makes it full ambi. And, you know, it's not that bad in the pocket. Of course, I'm someone who likes to carry big knives. If you're not, your mileage may vary. But, let's go ahead and do some more of this. Whoa, if I can even hold on to it. Ugh. Moldy cardboard. Oh, I hope I didn't show any addresses. Might have to blur that. But there we go. Moldy cardboard aside. Worked pretty well. Yuck. That is some gross stuff. Okay, let's do a pool. Woo! Felt good. Let's go ahead and do some pushing. Okay. Okay. You know what? Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let's see how the grind is done. Okay, so see here how it went kind of wavy? That means that the grinding on here is a little bit uneven. But I could probably mitigate that with a good sharpening. Anyways, there's the Camillus Bushcrafter. Let's get back to the table. Ah, oh, dang it. That's the one time I've missed that. Back to the table. Back to the table. First try.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into what I'm liking and not liking about the Camillus Bushcrafter. Because this is a really interesting knife, and I'll tell you guys right off the bat, I like it a lot. And I guess one thing I should make clear right now is this is the Bushcrafter folder. There's also a Bushcrafter fixed blade. I've never handled that one, but yeah. I figured I'd mention that before people told me in the comments. So, this knife is one that I used a lot. I bought this when I was kind of first getting into like the hobby, like collecting and I had like a list of things I wanted to try out. And I saw this, and I was like, ooh, micarta. I want to see what micarta is all about, because I heard all the YouTubers and people talking about micarta and how amazing it is and stuff. Like, I need to test out some micarta. This is not the best micarta, but we'll get to that later. And then at that time, I was in love with the 8010. And actually, I've got an 8010 now. Let me grab that. That might be an interesting size comparison. But I was in love with the design of the 8010, but I couldn't afford it at the time. And so I wanted something similar, and I thought this would be a good way to do that. Having handled both of these things now, it's not very similar to the 8010 at all. But, you know, I really want to try it out. So let's go ahead and get right into what I like. First of all, I like this blade, 12C27. It's a great choice here. You have a hollow grind, very good hollow grind too, pretty deep. I'm not sure exactly what behind the edge reading is, but you know, it slices very, very well. The blade is not that thick. You have this hollow grind, and when I was using this on the ranch, you know, cutting hay string, doing wood, things like that, it worked really, really well. And then, you know, coming back to college, and you know, being in the city, I wanted to review this knife for Cheap Knife Week, as I already said, and so I was starting to use it for different things. And one of the things that I found it excels at is food prep. You know, I like to test my knives, you know, and just do different things with them. So, you know, I like to cut, you know, fruit and cheese and meats and stuff with the knives, just to kind of see what they're, you know, just kind of test them. This knife was so good at doing my food prep stuff that I just started keeping it in the kitchen. It really does work fantastic on cheese, on fruit, on meats. It was really nice. I was very, very impressed by that. Next thing I like, the ergonomics are good. For just regular use like this, very comfortable. If you're going to be bearing down really hard, I would definitely recommend wearing gloves, because there are some hot spots that can arise off of corners here. But with gloves on, yuck. With gloves on, very comfortable. You have this really, really deep groove here that locks you in really, really well. You can get a lot of work done. So yeah, I like that a whole lot. Next thing, this knife is completely ambidextrous. The tail lock, of course, is, you know, right-handed or left-handed. Right-handed or left-handed. Thumb studs on both sides, and the pocket clip is reversible. And I also really like this pocket clip. I like the Camillus sword. I mean, I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. But also, it's just a really good pocket clip. In a lot of ways, it actually reminds me of, there it is. It kind of reminds me of the Benchmade bug out clip, right? But yeah, good clip, works well, it's reversible. That's always something that you love to see, right? Next thing, it's a very solid knife. It is built very well. The action is good. It's very smooth, it's very consistent. You can flick it out if you want to. The slow roll is also, you know, incredibly satisfying. We'll get back to the action a little bit, but I do think it's done well. It's very smooth, and you know, it works, right? That's all you want. Perfectly centered. Actually, this one might be a little bit off because I've been using. No, I think he's pretty good, pretty close to centered at least. But yeah, overall, just a really good design for a work knife. When I bought this for $30, I think that was an absolutely fantastic value. The blade is really, really good, and yeah, that's what I've got for my likes. That might seem a little bit short compared to, you know, other knives where I ramble on and on and on about different things, but honestly, this is a pretty simple knife. It's a backlock folding knife. That's basically as, you know, that's kind of as basic as you can get, but they've done it very well, in my opinion. They've done it very well. Very well, but not perfect. So now let's go ahead and flip over, we're going to talk about the things that I don't really like. The first thing I don't like, you probably already guessed at. At $50 plus, I don't really think that's a great price for this knife. $30? Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's great, but $50, yeah. I know prices are rising all over the place for everything, but still, you hate to see it, right? You just hate to see it. And so, yeah, it's kind of sad. Next thing, tiny T6 screws here. Would have really liked to see those be T8s, but, whatever. The fit and finish in general is not the best. This micarta is not the best. It's not as bad as some of that Tucson diarrhea carta, but it's not much better. I actually wouldn't doubt if they came from the same factory, and this is actually the same type of stuff that Cold Steel uses, not Cold Steel, Tucson uses, but Camillus just kind of sanded this one a little bit more. In fact, it is very similar to my Tucson Dreadnoughts, which actually died recently. But yeah, you guys know, if you've handled some of the brown budget micarta on a lot of older Tucsons, I think they're starting to phase it out. But yeah, this is very similar to that. Not the favorite, not my favorite stuff. So yeah, that's kind of an ick. Next thing, you can see here the lock bar, not entirely flush. You go down here, some gapping and stuff. The lockup is still solid. Like, the lockup is good, but yeah, it is just a little bit uneven, a little bit ugly to look at. The jimping up here, I'm not a huge fan of. It's just kind of rounded over. In fact, you can even see, looking at it from here, how it's just kind of like rounded. But yeah, I complain about jimping a lot. Sharpening choil down here. Yeah, that's not great. I might cut in my own choil on this knife. Let's see could I even do that? I think I could. What's stopping it when it closes? We'll see. But yeah, and then my next big complaint is with the thumb studs. They're just a little bit tiny, and I wish they were bigger, fatter thumb studs. They're not like sharp like some thumb studs, but they are a little bit tiny, and they can be just the smallest bit pokey. So yeah, I'm not a real huge fan of that. Other than that, those are like the big kind of, I guess, design / fit or finish complaints. One complaint I have is I wish this was a back lock that was up here instead of being a tail lock down here, just because you're using the knife and then you have to two-hand close this. You can one-hand open it, but you have to two-hand close it, which isn't the end of the world. And honestly, when I was working on the ranch, when I'm in the woods, I close my knives two-handed most of the time anyways, just to be safe, because if you're out in the woods, the last thing you want is an injury. But still, I think I would prefer if this was up here. I just think that would have been a little bit better. And yeah, that's about it. I mentioned a little bit the ergonomic thing, like if you have bare hands and you're bearing down on the knife, you can pick up a couple little hot spots. The way to fix that is to wear gloves, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. Alrighty, that's it. Let's go ahead and go on to my final conclusions. This knife feels like a mix between a Cold Steel 8010 and like the Buck 110 Pro Light I reviewed earlier this year. And that's not a bad thing. There's a couple of things about this knife that I can complain about, and especially now at the price point being $50. Eesh. When this was $30, this was a lot more awesome to me. At $50, I think they can fix some of the fit and finish issues, right? I think there's a couple things that they should just do a little bit better. But by and large, I like this knife. I really do like this knife. I've had it for a long time. using it in the woods and stuff, you really get an appreciation for a tool when you've used it that much. And even though I've got, several complaints with this knife, a couple of them that I would consider to be, I get not significant, but significant issues. The knife itself still just performs great. I've used it a lot. I will probably continue to use it a lot, and I can recommend it. However, I would recommend it on a budget. If you've got money to spend, I think you've got better options out there. But if you're looking for something like this and you've got a budget that's $50 or less, this could be a good option for you. So, that's going to be it for this review, guys. Let me know what you think. A little bit of a short review for me, I know. You guys are welcome. Do you have one of these? And let me know what you think. I've been Gideon. Like, comment, subscribe. Adios.